We're rolling. Yeah, welcome to the Old Fashioned Hollywood Podcast.
Hello, everybody.
This is
A toast.
a toast. This is episode 1 of 2020.
Yeah, that's crazy. When did we start? 2017. The end of 2017.
2018, I think.
No. It
Really?
had to be the end, because that was... Well, yeah, you're right. I think you are right. Was it the end of 2018, though?
I feel like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was.
This episode is brought to you by Monumental, the blended
right.
Scotch whiskey, aged 18 years by Alexander Murray and Company.
And by Gear Deli.
Ghirardelli chocolates, yeah.
Milk
so-
chocolate caramel.
The caramel goodness. So we're here, and it's 2020, and it's a new year, a new all that cred. 2019 is gone. We thought we'd do like a little recap of 2019 movies and
At least
news.
that last month, huh?
Yeah. At
Or
least
the ending.
Yeah.
The ending. The ass end.
The ass end.
2019 caboose.
Right.
Well, how was yours, man? What were you up to? A lot of working, right?
Yeah, I mean, 2019 was definitely my best year as a Steadicam operator.
Oh, yeah.
I was pretty much busy the entire year, nonstop, on a whole bunch of different projects. Several features, got to travel, got to work on your project in Ohio,
yeah.
But, did Florida, Louisiana, Vegas, and then done a lot of local stuff. And yeah, so that was my year. It was just a lot of Steadicam work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
that's
no,
your
I mean,
dream.
it's-
So
that
Scotty,
pays
so
my
I
bills.
have a 9 to 5er. Oh, it's more of a 7:30 to whenever I'm supposed to leave at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But and Scotty is as I think people know, all of our friends know, and most people who listen, works on a catch as catch can basis, right? Basically, with
yeah.
like,
It's all freelance.
He's a hustler, but
Yeah.
but with that comes a large degree of freedom. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's something that both of us as filmmakers kind of always weigh the pros and cons of. I know I do. I was doing editing that way a few years ago. It certainly has its perks, man. I mean,
Yeah.
But then it has its stresses too, as you can attest.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've been doing freelance for about 6.5 years, and the last couple of years is when it's really sort of hit a good stride for me. I've been surviving the last all these years doing projects here and there, but these last couple of years is really where I felt like I hit the stride as far as connections I've made with cinematographers and
all the
directors and
hustling's paying
producers.
off.
Yeah. And that's what it's about is about forming relationships and having people that are going to call me when they need Steadicam or they need a camera operator, they need a cinematographer or something like that.
Totally.
So. And so 2019 was great for that. And
Was 2019 great overall in your opinion for you? So a lot of a lot of people are like 2020's gonna be great. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And some people are like, 2019 was just not my year, man. Like memes are just like, fucking 2019, and I'm like, I feel guilty because I'm like, nah, mine was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and
it was the best year of my life.
Yeah,
No joke.
I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd say it was the best year of my life in total. I mean, it's hard for me when I directed Fifth Passenger, and then when that film came out, like that span, there was a lot of really good times for me, and
it's
I
an
felt like
amazing
this is where I want to be, and this is what I want to be doing.
Totally.
Like 2019, I really didn't direct anything. I directed one little short project. But nothing like that I had written that like my
Right.
heart was
It probably
really
plays
close.
a large part of it for me with the
Yeah.
Camp Miracle shoot.
For
But I
sure.
mean, you know what I had thought? So I'm 38. I just turned 38, like 2 weeks ago or something. And 37, I was shocked because I thought it was the greatest year of my adult life. Like, and I
Yeah.
was like, man, if I could have a year better than that. Like, but I didn't. It sounds it's just I felt so spoiled. Like, damn, everything fucking came together. Like travel, friends, doing well with work, film stuff, having a good run on that, and then this year, man, was even better. It was just unbelievable filming our short, and
Yeah.
I went to Mexico. I was everywhere. I went to Vancouver. I went to Vancouver both years. I went to Mexico both years, dude. Like, it's been unbelievable. And if that train ends now, I understand. Like, it has to at some point. Like,
Yeah.
okay, is this where I get cancer? You know what I
Right.
mean? Or is it, you know, like, where's... Because, you know, good things do have to come to an end at some point. But, man, I have been so lucky. And, you know, I want to live a long life. I don't want to die young. But, man, I have been really, really lucky. And if I died, God, I don't want to die. But if I died right now, like, please, like, it was all right, man. It was better than a lot of people had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel really thankful. Which it feels cheesy saying that shit because I groan when people say cheesy shit like that. Like, oh, it's good to be thankful, but like, I hate hearing that Hallmark card bullshit. But I do feel that way actually.
Yeah.
And I told Scotty a little bit ago that if life is the female anatomy, 38, the year of 38 was definitely its G spot. I've been living in a sweet spot.
Right.
No, that's vulgar. We shouldn't joke.
No,
like
no,
that.
that's
Guys,
totally appropriate.
Certainly don't laugh at that.
Yeah.
How about this? So I know a big part of 2019 that the guy across from me is passionate about is the rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah,
the newest Star Wars film. But before we go into that,
yes, the bigger picture.
fuck, dude. Like, okay,
Yeah,
Last Jedi. How about
Oh.
let's start with Last Jedi context. Your feelings on it.
Right,
You
okay.
can rant, do your thing. I know people.
Yeah, no, I was actually gonna mention the Disney thing.
Oh, of course. Go ahead.
Because
How they're gobbling everything up.
Yeah. Well, so if you hadn't seen the headlines, in 2019, Disney brought in 80% of the box office sales.
Can I interrupt and just say
Sure.
that to us is like terrifying, and to people who have paid attention to life or business or history in any way know how bad this is. But the average fucking Joe is just like, when I hear somebody go, I like that they always make new Lion Kings because that generation gets theirs and our generation gets ours. I'm like, man, you've been fucking programmed, dude.
Right,
Like that.
yeah.
What? I mean, that's the wet dream of a piece of shit company. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, and I hear that stuff. I've heard that many times.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
or just movie theater movies aren't supposed to be smart. I'm like, we've been conditioned to say this
Right,
stupid
right.
shit now.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, you think of the sort of golden eras that we've had of like the 80s and the early 90s of the films that came out, like lower mid-budget like sci-fi films and fantasy films and all sorts of genre films and just all sorts of films that came out.
Even bigger budget ones took more risks at that
Right,
time.
right,
too.
yes. So many different new properties that weren't remakes and reboots and
Yeah,
and or sequels, or this used to be a TV show or a comic book or a breakfast cereal or whatever, and now because
Breakfast cereal. I don't think there are a lot of those movies right now.
you never know, there's gonna
That's
be a
IP
Count Chocula
the
movie or
last IP
something.
grounded,
Right,
less
right.
soil to,
Yeah.
to till.
Honey Nut Cheerios, the movie, right?
but like a dark, gritty reboot.
But it's you think back to that era when there wasn't a big studio that was dominating everything. You had a lot of big studios.
Yeah.
You had Universal and Paramount and Sony and
Yeah.
Disney and all these big studios that were making big pictures, but there were so many of them. It was so
There
divided
were at
up.
least more. It wasn't just one big fish.
Right. And now it's like,
It's mostly one. It's Warner Brothers is right number 2. You know, what else?
and that's only because they had like the Joker.
They're doing the same thing too, though. They have
Right,
DC.
right.
They have, you know what I mean. They're
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
They're one down.
They have
You take those two
they
out of
have
it.
they have DC and like Harry Potter and
But they're just doing the same business plan. It's pretty much.
Right,
but
right.
Disney's just doing it more aggressively. And I
Yeah,
saw
and
somebody say on Facebook, somebody I've never met, say, well, maybe Disney deserves to have all the box office movies. I mean, after all, they made so many good classics over the years
Mm-hmm.
because it was all about quality, and they've earned our trust. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right,
They
right.
didn't make Iron Man, you idiot.
Yeah.
Just because Mary Poppins was cool 40 years ago, like, they deserve the MCU. What the fuck are you talking?
Right,
It is
right.
literally, and people are like, even the congratulations they get for building the MCU scares me, because it's like,
it was really Marvel that did it.
but even though Marvel did it, any company that's ever had that many IPs, that many characters in one, like the Universal monsters were all crisscrossing like crazy when Universal
right.
had all of them. It's not that crazy to sit in a room and go, what if we
Yeah.
fucking milk this shit till
Frankenstein
the tip was
versus
dry,
Dracula.
dude. You know what I mean? Like, what if? And hear me out. The end of each one is a commercial for the next one. Oh my god, that's genius! Like,
Yeah,
what do
yeah.
you never read a comic book when you were a kid? Like, that's what everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was some structure to the MCU So things tied into each other, which was kind of cool. Like, I'll give them credit on that creatively. But, like, in general, owning 50 fucking characters and cashing in on it and tying them all together and making it must-see and putting it on Taco Bell cups is not... It's not genius. It's, like, literally what everybody's always done, but you just owned more than anybody ever did before. You know, so, like, it was almost like, how could that not have happened at some point, you know?
Yeah, and it was also the approach to the films and things like that. John Favreau and
He started it right. Iron Man started it right.
But and I think it for me speaks to the larger issue of monopolies and total control and what that means for the future of films.
Man, like, we love it though.
It's
people love it. They're not going to.
It's already tough for independent filmmakers, for low budget filmmakers to break through, because you go to an AMC or an Edwards or a Regal Cinemas, and it's only those top few films that are now going to be like all Disney owned films, and there's this sort of monopoly of control. And
but don't you kind of when situations like this happen, and the whole crowd, 95% of the crowd are screaming Baby Yoda, and the 5% are like, holy shit, guys, there's a monopoly here, this isn't good. Those people are made out to be fucking weirdos,
right?
Like, oh, pretentious art folks with their berets, and you know what I mean. You're like,
right.
No, but
well,
this isn't good, guys.
I love The Mandalorian. Like,
yeah,
I think
I want to see it. I'm really excited. But I'm just
I think it's
general,
a great
like,
show. Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, it's not at all to say like, oh, just because like there's a reason why 80% of the box office is Disney in some respect, because they're making content that people want, right? And it's not saying that, like,
I feel like they make some content people want, like Mandalorian. I also think that they make content that people feel an obligation to see. An internal obligation to see.
Sure.
If you make a fucking Dumbo remake, so many people feel like I don't know why. You
Right,
make why? I was sitting in Ant-Man 2 thinking, why the fuck am I in here?
Right.
I mean, I remember thinking, like, how the fuck did they get me in here? Like,
yeah,
it just feels like a piece of the puzzle you're gonna miss out on. Like, everybody's seen it, you got to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
that sense of obligation they've created.
Well, and
Star Wars. I didn't want to I didn't want to spend any more money on Star Wars after Last Jedi. I was like, nah, fuck this. But, like, I was like, damn, like, I feel like I gotta go see it, and I didn't even want to. I don't know how the fuck they got that into us, but they did. That's branding. That's Coca-Cola.
Well,
right
and
there,
it's
man.
also this idea of, well, that's what's on. In way back in the day, when TV was ABC, CBS, and ABC, it was like you had 3 channels, and it was like that's all that was on TV.
Starting to feel like 3 channels again.
Right, and that's the thing is, like, there's
movie theaters are anyway.
There's something to the fact that they're going to make some good content. They're going to make some compelling things and tell good stories and everything like that. But what does that the bigger picture mean for independent voices and for people like us who are trying to make smaller films? That whole middle space is gone. A lot of it is because home video is gone, and there's not a lot of money in streaming.
No, yeah.
Back in the 80s, you could make an independent film and almost be guaranteed $300,000 in return just on home video sales, like internationally and domestic.
Yeah.
That was like, as long as you had a completed film, especially if it was horror or sci-fi, you were almost guaranteed like $300,000 on that. So,
but also to the other point, though, finishing a film back then was probably a lot harder too. Getting a completed feature film, with solid with at least some video and audio quality, and
right. Well, because you had things like, well, are you going to shoot it on video, which looks crappy back in the day? Video looked crappy, or you're going to spend a lot more to shoot it on film. Yeah. But there were plenty of people who were doing that. Like, how many people were making those straight to video movies, and making a living, like the Canon films and
Canon. That's
Troma and
Troma. Speaking of Troma,
Full Moon and all those kind of guys, right?
I'll do an aside real quick, but I threw a New Year's Eve party, as Scotty knows, and it was a place called Rasselbach. I got to recommend it. A German bar, restaurant, beer garden in Mar Vista, right outside Venice. And a guy came up to me and he's like, so I looked at your IMDb before I came, and you were in, what the fuck is it called? Poultrygeist.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that one? And I was like,
yeah,
it was an extra. Lloyd asked me to be. I met Lloyd somehow. I don't even know how anymore. I don't remember how anymore. And yeah, I was like, I totally did. That was an extra. I would go up to New York and such, and I don't want to tell the story, but he's like, yeah, my buddy so and so worked on that, and I won't say what right now. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like it was cool. Like the guy was being really nice. He's like, he's such a good guy. Da, da, da. And the whole time I was thinking like, that was the meanest motherfucker I ever met in my life. That guy you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like I hated him. I hated that guy. I wanted to punch him. Yeah, but anyway, speaking of trauma, I was reminded of trauma the other day. So
Right.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I know. So I mean, it's an interesting metric to look at and to see like what's that going to mean for 2020? Is it going to be a similar picture in 2020 as far as Disney controlling everything? They've been buying up all of their studios and everything, and I don't know. We'll have to see. But
the people have to say no to it, man.
Right. Well, and
they're not going to.
And they have to continue to say yes to other things, to independent films.
They're not going to though, because I think, and I'll excuse them on this point. The power of advertising.
Yeah.
None of those other things have the power of advertising that these the big guns have.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
straight up.
sure.
I mean, it's on the. We're in Hollywood. You look down the street and it's on the side of buildings right now. Like, I'm sorry, but like the little things we like are not going to be. And I'll say one other thing too. This gets Disney off the hook here creatively is where you're saying, well, The Mandalorian's awesome, and I'm thinking that's cool that it's awesome, but it's awesome to Star Wars fans who know the rules of Star Wars, and it doesn't have to be crazy edgy. It really can't, or it won't be Star Wars.
Yeah.
It can't go outside of too many boxes because it's supposed to be Star Wars.
Right.
So they get a pass on that, which is awesome. I still want to see it, but like Disney's success, I am so scared to attribute it to quality because I have never truly been surprised in a single Marvel movie. I don't want to be a dick. I've liked some of them. I've never felt. Look, dude, just stakes alone, just storytelling alone, filmmaking alone, the thing you and I love and a lot of people listening love, like, you want there to be stakes, you want there to be weight, and they pretend there's weight in these movies. There's not weight. I'm going to go Marvel, DC, everything, like Superman, Captain America, fucking... I could literally name 50 characters right now, and all of them came back to life after dying, except for maybe 2. And I don't mean just because of Endgame's big swoop. I'm talking in general. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And there's no fucking weight. Like, there's no state. So like, when you say, well, Star Wars is good, I'm like, that's cool. Mandalorian, I'm like, that's cool. But I'm like, I don't think the other stuff was that good. I just think it's what we've been trained to go. Yep, they did what they're supposed to do. We clap. You know what I mean? But it's like, I want to feel something at some point here, and I think Disney's succeeding without having to do that, and that's what really makes me upset. You know, it's like, damn, dude, like, I can watch the old animated Beauty and the Beast, and I honestly really do think it's a good film. Like, I think there's something special there. I watched the new one, and I'm just like, this made money, and they didn't even try. You know what I mean? There's no weight. There's nothing.
Well, it's kind of because it's sort of paint by numbers.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, and that's why I'm scared, because it's like, but if you make a product, a product in any line of work, it doesn't have to be film, and you teach people this is what a cookie's supposed to taste like, and it's not even a very good cookie, but you fucking advertise the shit out of this cookie, and you get it in every household till people love it just because they're used to it. Suddenly, most of the world thinks you make damn good cookies. You know what I'm saying? Like, and somebody comes along and goes, guys, what the? They're not even. This is nothing. That's saltine crackers. What are you talking about?
That's a McDonald's.
Exactly right. Yeah. So I don't mean to go on a tangent, but I am hesitant. These things do concern me.
And I think that's my initial reaction when I saw that headline was like, what does that mean for the future of cinema and film as an art form? I think there's going to continue to be independent people making their art and true filmmakers and true storytellers. But the question is, will those people get the bigger platforms like they used to? Like is there space for another Kubrick to emerge, you know, where you have...
The audience has to evolve.
Yeah.
Because the audience has to get fed up with the current system. And I'm telling you, man, Joe Smith in fucking Idaho doesn't give a fuck, dude. Like,
well, but I mean, you know, to play the devil's advocate, I could say that there have always been that Joe Smith in Idaho who never, even in the 50s and the 60s or the 70s, cared about any of those films.
But
right?
but people have learned to capitalize on his indifference.
Sure.
More than they ever did before. They've mastered it.
Well, I feel like it's the expansion of that kind of mindset to everybody that, hey, this is this is
Oh,
what
like it's
cinema
seeping
is.
into the rest of us slowly.
Right.
Yeah,
Where it's
yeah,
like,
maybe.
like people aren't expecting anything more than a Marvel film.
So
Like,
maybe you put like a tiny little surprise. They go, "Oh, this is amazing!" You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
There was a serious moment in a Marvel film. It deserved. Like people are saying they deserve like
The Oscars, yeah.
for
I was
fucking
just thinking
Endgame.
that,
I'm
yeah.
like, guys, what the fuck are you taught? Like, what is this happening right now? You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
Like,
yeah.
what the fuck is
it
going on?
deserves to be nominated for Best Picture. You know,
Dude,
like-
it was fun, but it's dumb as fuck. It's not.
Yeah,
The acting's not great. I don't know what anybody's talking about now. But
Right,
we're
right.
just we're fans, man. We get it in our
Yeah,
blood.
yeah.
Like, okay, well, let's bounce from that to Star Wars because I'll tell
Yeah,
you
yeah,
what,
yeah.
Last Jedi. I'll let you talk because I know you're pretty passionate. We'll cover Last Jedi briefly, and then go into
Mm-hmm.
the third one because they can be compared. I think. And one, I think the third is a reaction to Last Jedi in a lot of ways too. But
yeah. I mean, I felt like.
let me just say before
Yeah,
I say this, I read an article the other day that said the hate on The Last Jedi was absurd, and I agreed with that. And it goes, but the defense of Last Jedi has become equally as absurd.
Right.
And I was like, that's true too. This is not a one-sided like, oh, the trolls hate something, and all the good reasonable people of social media are fighting. It's like, no, there's some fucking weirdos on both sides. Dude.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
And people they're like, I've never seen people so antagonized for liking a movie or antagonized for hating it.
Right,
and I've
right.
never felt a movie actually actively antagonizing its audience so much either.
Right.
If that
right.
makes sense.
Yeah. No, I saw. My buddy Ryan sent me a post. It was this woman's post, and then a series of comments below, and the gist of it was that if you liked Rise of the Jedi but hated
Rise of Skywalker, you mean?
yeah. If you liked Rise of Skywalker and hated The Last Jedi, it's because you're sexist and misogynist and racist and it's like okay.
Was it a real? I thought it was a joke.
No, that was a real.
You know
That
what
was
made
a.
me laugh
She
is,
was.
like, a
She
lot-
was like. She said, if you like the new one and you don't like the old one, it's because you're anti-feminist.
right, which is correct. But that's the narrative, dude. Disney rode that shit.
Yeah.
Like people believe that. I have smart friends who believe like, oh, all these racist KKKers and sexists, all these white men hated Last Jedi. I'm like, I mean, I've never I've said a million times. I am like, we're liberal as fuck, but like, I've never seen a movie like so blatantly taking the current social climate and letting that write its movie for it.
Right.
Like, if you're a white dude in that movie, you're only an old guy because there are no young white dudes in the Last Jedi. None. No. Now name one young white guy who's a good guy. One.
Poe.
He's not white. He's
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
no. None of them
yeah,
are.
yeah.
But and if you are, you're a failure. And you're a fucking loser. Like
Right.
Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. Like you fucking failed and dropped the ball, and the young minorities team is picking up
Right.
the pieces. And I heard a guy say on an interview actually on Entertainment Weekly or something like that. He was like, every argument in Last Jedi is between a female and a male, and the male is always a moron. Look at Luke getting bonked on the head by Rey, making him look like a doofus, and you're like, what the fuck? Look at fucking look at Holdo or whatever her name is,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
young kid. Like that's all the movie was.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm for. Look, I know we live in a society where men have gotten away with a lot. White dudes have, but like, don't paint a picture like. It's just it felt so. It didn't seem like a bridge between
Right.
like or this thing people were supposed to celebrate together and love together. It felt like a thinly veiled troll job. It just
Right.
felt like trolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it just felt like. Are you just attacking the old people? Like, what do you like? Don't use Han Solo for your cynicism, dude.
Yeah,
Don't use
yeah.
Luke Skywalker, aka A New Hope, as his fucking nickname
Right.
to show how bad white people suck. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I did think there was a lot of really strange. Every white man in that sucks, dude. Either a villain or a failure, straight up. Like, I was like, I noticed it. I was like, this is strange. Like, what is this? What we're gonna do now? You know? But
Yeah. Well, so I think that stuff aside, I mean that's a whole other conversation, and I think the problem with doing that for having, for lack of a better term, SJW kind of stuff in the film for that sake.
Fight for social causes in a movie. I'm all for it.
Right. Yeah.
I'm all
But to
for
have it, but to have it in such a way does run the risk of a sort of backlash of the people just like, you know, like there's one thing of like, okay, well we have characters of all race, colors, creeds, religions, sexes in the film, and they play different roles, and it's sort of there's not an intent to say this is how a certain type of person is based on their
Destroy
their
the
makeup.
past, kill it if you must. Like,
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
It was an
But
obnoxious.
I think from a story.
That's a whole other problem. I
Yeah.
have problems with, as a film. It's just filmmaking quality. I have problems with it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it
Yeah,
sucks,
I
dude.
thought The Last Jedi was tonally kind of all over the place. Like the comedy moments were too forced, and it tried so hard with them that it took away from serious, impactful events that were happening, like making jokes while
Oh,
people are
almost
like
like a
risking
Marvel
their
movie, almost
yeah.
like a Disney fucking formula movie.
Right,
now.
right.
It felt like a Marvel movie. to
Yeah,
me. Like,
yeah, and where and that's where I felt Rise of Skywalker was a lot better. There were comedic moments that I felt were more in line with the traditional tone of what a Star Wars film is, and it's not because there's the broader like, oh, this is just any film, and any film is going to have comedy and serious moments and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. But
because of how it's more like a blockbuster film has to be these things. now.
right,
Yeah.
right. Whereas you look at like, well, what does a Star Wars film feel like? That sort of like intangible.
Do you think they got back to it a little bit?
And I felt I
too.
felt Rise of Skywalker was a lot better in that, where like one of the big comedy moments was almost a rehash of New Hope when Chewbacca's playing the chess game with Poe and them, and it's like, oh, let the Wookiee win. That was a rehash of that joke in that scenario, but it was done in a way that it felt fresh, and it was within the
It wasn't a wink wink at the audience.
right, but it was within the mood of the story. And it wasn't like
Totally.
the characters trying to be funny. It was like
Yeah.
it was just
when
the
they're all
characters
comedians,
interacting.
I can't take it, dude.
Right,
Like,
right.
I can't take it when everybody's a fucking.
And
comedian.
it was in a moment in the story when the characters were having downtime, where you would expect there to be
Mm.
a moment of levity, where they were between battles, and it
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, in the heat of the battle they're gonna make some crack at each other kind of stuff. That's the stuff that's like hard for
Mm.
me to take. And I felt Rise of the Jedi got that a lot better. I felt like,
Did you say Rise of Skywalker?
sorry, I just Rise of
That's all
Skywalker.
you just call it. Fuck it.
Yeah. That's the thing. The titles of the films don't make any freaking sense to me. But
That one's certainly no. Last Jedi doesn't make.
yeah,
fucking
that's what I'm
sense,
saying.
dude.
Last Jedi
That's
doesn't
I'll
make
give
any
Last Jedi
sense.
shit for that too. Every like philosophy it like laid out, it would like betray within 10 minutes, and you'd be like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Right,
Like,
right. Yeah.
Burn all these books, but keep them.
Right.
I was the last Jedi. I'm not the last Jedi.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like,
yeah. Oh, the
man.
Force isn't anything special. Everybody can use the Force. Oh,
Yeah.
no, just King. She's really good at the Force because she's Palpatine
Yeah, I
stuff.
don't- I
Oh,
just think he did-
spoiler alert. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that shit gets through. I don't know how. To me, is from a business standpoint, the most irresponsible decision you can make when you know you're making a trilogy of films is to go, let's just do a relay race and make it up as we go.
Right.
And you're like, what? You don't have an
Yeah.
overall arc. They didn't know with episode 7 what 9 was going to have. Like, so JJ's like, I'm going to lay out these mysteries, and you're like, well, what's the answer? And he goes, don't know. It's like, that's so
I
irresponsible.
think I'm gonna say, without having read anything specific about this, but I'm gonna say, and this is a spoiler, so you shouldn't be watching this or listening
No,
to this.
you can say spoilers.
Yeah,
now. It's
yeah,
January, dude.
yeah. I'm gonna say that they knew that Rey was related to Palpatine.
I think JJ knew. I think that
Right,
was his
right.
plan with Force Awakens. I don't
Right.
think that Ryan Johnson gave a fuck about that at all.
Right.
I think that they course corrected back to it again.
It's possible. See that's possible that Ryan Johnson decided, because I heard that essentially Ryan Johnson took JJ's notes and threw them in the trash
Totally.
when he took over. So I don't know.
Somebody here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if you are just one guy, if you're JJ and you're doing all 3 movies,
Yeah.
you hint at Palpatine in the second movie being alive, and you know what I mean. You don't just
Right.
you like the worst thing in the world is to get to the 3rd act of a movie or the 3rd film in a trilogy and go, here's the real bad guy.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Nobody has an emotional connection to this guy. The only emotional connection we had was from a prior trilogy, so they could use that and tap
Right.
into it, and
Yeah.
they lucked out.
But there
that
were
way.
were hints in Force Awakens that she was related to Palpatine.
What were they?
The two big ones were the way that she fought with her lightsaber. If
Okay.
you look, she did this one sort of like
But he
thrusting
never had
motion.
a lightsaber in the movies, though.
Yeah, he did in the prequels.
Oh, Palpatine. Oh, okay,
Right.
gotcha. Yeah.
So if you look at her fighting style, it was very similar to his, and
There's somebody right next to me. But...
Huh?
Sorry, that sounded like there was somebody standing right next to me. But
Oh.
there's nobody there.
yeah.
I see.
I put acid in the cookies.
You think they did that on purpose? So
Yeah, and also her theme music is I saw like a breakdown of her theme music, and it's very very similar to his theme music.
see.
It's got like one note off in kind of the way the tempo goes, but if you like look at the notes on sheet music, it looks almost
that's
exactly
cool.
the
Man,
Kane.
Jesus, you went down the rabbit hole in this shit.
Yeah, I watch
Star Wars dork,
I watch a lot.
dude.
I watch a lot of YouTube
If
videos
you look at
on
the
that.
notes on their theme music.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that's
but
cool.
but that's the
So JJ had the idea. Ryan Johnson said, "Fuck this! I'm going my own direction. I'll kill the main bad guy." In
who
the middle
knows?
of
Who
the
knows?
movie.
Yeah. Who knows what
It
what
just
what
felt
they
like
were thinking.
they were stitching it
Yeah.
together as it was going. Like,
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
just got new powers every. Yeah, I didn't know what was going
Yeah.
on, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, everyone can just do whatever they need to be able to do in that moment.
Right. And so, and I feel, summing up Rise of Skywalker, how I felt about, and why I felt like I liked it was maybe because I hated it less than The Last Jedi. And there were fewer things in the movie. Actually, there wasn't any moments where I was watching it and I was like, what the fuck am I
You know
watching?
what's bad is I think about that sometimes, and I walked out of Solo, and my buddy's like, meh, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna mark it as a win, and I was like, and the reason was it didn't do any damage to anything.
Right.
That's pathetic. That's now the bar with these things. You're like, please don't fuck my childhood up.
Right,
Like,
right.
please don't hurt this shit. And Solo, whether you like it or not, it didn't.
I liked it.
It didn't
Yeah.
disgrace anything.
Yeah.
And now
yeah.
these days, I walk into one of these movies. I'm like, please don't say that. Like, even Palpatine being alive kind of scared me because that moment of Vader's redemption means so much.
Right.
And if
right.
you're just like, dude, like, so I was just talking shit about Marvel movies. Star Wars deserves it too. If
Sure.
you're a fucking villain and you're popular with the fucking nerdy fanboys, you will come back from the dead.
Maybe.
Nobody stays dead. Boba Fett climbed out. Darth Maul survived the fight. Palpatine survived. It's like, stop. Like,
Well, I wouldn't say that Palpatine was popular with
but
the
I'm
fan
saying
base.
it's
but
just
yeah.
it's the same thing where it gets that reaction and you get the he's back, but then when you think about it long game, people aren't gonna feel anything soon enough because every good guy's coming back as a fucking ghost, and
Right.
every villain secretly survived, and so you're playing with the stakes, man.
Yeah.
If there's a new Star Wars trilogy, nobody's gonna think anything matters because it doesn't matter.
Right, right, right.
I hate, and I know nerds love Boba Fett. I hate that he quote unquote survives. I hate it because I love him, but like, you just have to protect some of this stuff at some point, you know. And I hate that Darth Maul is back with spider legs or whatever the fuck. It's just like, it's just, you know what it is? It's because it's toy companies.
Right,
This
right.
is all guided by toy merch sales. So, I felt that way even in Rise of Skywalker. I was like, none of this means anything. Get the fuck out. You know, like, this character learned a valuable lesson. I'm like, yeah, she'll unlearn it in the next one if that's what needs to happen. You know, like, nothing has that weight.
Right. And
Vader and Luke's final battle, that redemption arc, that Luke going back and forth fighting his dad and, you know, a sister, like, that's so magic that I'm scared to touch it because it's like, stop it there. Like, stop
Right.
it there. Because if you close it after that and don't do anything else, my God, you've got a masterpiece with this trilogy. But like, they got to crack it back open. And so, but what if? And it's like, no,
Yeah,
get
yeah.
the fuck away from it. You know.
Well, and that was the thing is I felt Kylo Ren was a really cool new character.
I think he's the
And
only one
had-
deserving of the old trilogy.
Yeah, and he had a lot of potential, like where he came from, and his journey was really interesting. I feel like he wasn't given the weight. You know, I feel like the Kylo Ren story we could have had in Force Awakens was his story, him turning to the dark side.
You should have seen him with Leia and Han and Luke.
Right, right.
Because then those emotional connections would have been established.
Right.
The audience would have known them as dad and son and mom and son. And then later, when he kills dad, we would have fucking cried, man. You know what I mean? Instead of just, oh, and by the way, you've never seen these characters together ever, but trust me, they love each other a lot. It's that rushed fucking blockbuster shit, dude.
Yeah, yeah. And
I
at
think
the end,
Kylo's-
at the end of Force Awakens, that's when Luke leaves. Like after he sees that he's failed Kylo,
Right.
then he leaves, and then maybe we don't see him until the middle or the end of
The second one.
of the next one
Yeah.
after that. After we're introduced to the new character who's Rey or whoever comes up.
These things you're talking about, I mean, this is so. If you don't have the Star Wars brand and you don't have millions and millions of dollars to make your movie, and you just have to make a good film, all these things we're talking about are fucking no-brainers. Oh, you want this scene to mean something? You got to establish it. Oh, you want this character to be good? He can't talk like that. That's bad dialogue. When you're a blockbuster studio like Disney, you get away with just saying fuck all that.
Yeah.
People will like it. It's Star Wars. And it's like scenes don't have to make sense. Deaths don't have to have weight. Like nothing. Like you're just like, I remember watching Last Jedi being like, this is just a badly made film. Like this, even some of the fight scenes, like have you watched like the Red Stormtrooper guys are like,
oh yeah,
like just twirling around and not attacking anything. Yeah. So yeah, whatever. I guess I get upset. I do get upset. I just feel like, man, I just feel like everything is for sale.
Yeah.
Now everything's for sale, dude. Like your most treasured childhood memories.
Right.
Don't let them know how much you treasure them, because they will crack into that shit, open it up, and fucking blast it in front of your eyeballs till you don't care anymore. Till you're like,
Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, you could get, super cynical in it and say, oh, well, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi were just the same things. They were just sequels to films that were already, beloved and things like that.
Yeah, but he had a plan for those at least.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't mean in particular. Of course, sometimes remakes have been amazing.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, sometimes Disney makes cool stuff. I'm not saying it's impossible. It just, the reason that drives all this stuff makes me really depressed sometimes, for sure.
Yeah. So that chapter of Star Wars is done, and who knows what they're going to do coming in the future.
They'll probably just let it go now, because they probably feel like, you know what, we told our story, we're done.
We don't have to ever see any of those characters again.
No way. They're like, what next? They want to make
right.
another Marvel Universe, dude, for sure.
Right.
So let's get off Star Wars for a minute. I was
Yeah.
going to say, I wanted to, this is totally a twist, a change of subject, but
What a twist.
the short, The Road to Camp Miracle, we were working on, I'm still in post-production. We kind of hit a little bit of a snag, needing a little bit of very short 2-second clip of 3D effects work done. And I want to tell a little mini story here. I was looking for quotes, posting on websites, posting on Facebook, for someone who could do some very, very simple 3D modeling. Literally a 2-second clip. Not a hard gig. I got a lot of people hitting me up about it, and I was looking at their stuff, and I really wanted to believe I could hire a team in Ohio to do it, who reached out to me. And maybe I'm going to piss people off or hurt feelings, but I won't name names. I'm telling the story as it is, because it should be. But anyway, this Ohio team, who I don't really know, gets a hold of me, and they're like, we want to do it. And I'm like, great. And I talked to them on the phone, and I'm like, okay, awesome. Like they show me their reel. It looks really good. They do a lot of commercial stuff for like Cleveland and the cities back home, and I get their quote, 2-second clip, short film, sizzle. Their quote for a 2-second clip of literally just changing text is over $3,000, well over $3,000. I'm like, what the I was so disappointed, because I wanted to use somebody, from back home, just to prop them up and get them on the IMDb page with all those other pretty significant talents. I thought it would be a good opportunity. I'm like, are you fucking... I just answered, thanks, guys. Well, that's our budget. I'm very nice about it, I end up getting a guy who works on, like, the Terminator films, a guy here in L.A., and his name, he's brilliant, by the way. His name is Lucas de la Torre, Torrre. And guys, I'm going to recommend him right now. Just Google his name, Lucas de, D-E, space la, L-A, space T-O-O, T-O-R-R-E. If you need any kind of visual effects work, like, this guy was amazing. Dude, he did it in one day. You go on his IMDb, he's worked on, like, all these monster movies, or all these monster, like, movies, like, giant ones. Fast and the Furious, I think, Transformers, shit like that. Yeah, Transformers, things like that. He quotes me. I'm not saying the numbers. Yeah. But
a reasonable price.
A really fair price.
Right.
A really, really fair price, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
And the difference between them, I was so, honestly, kind of rattled that, like, the guy who was the master took such good care of me, and the people who I really was trying to, like, reach down and help out tried to basically fucking pay the rent on their place for, like, 5 months straight.
Right.
On our 2-second footage, but Yeah, Lucas did amazing work, and
Yeah,
I'll tell you
yeah.
what. As you're talking, I'm gonna look up Lucas's website real
okay.
quick.
Did you
promote
get
it.
the Did you get the clip back? Was that the
Yeah, it's the one I
Facebook
was
thing
sending.
you sent
I was
me?
sending it to Scott earlier. It's I had a little bit of a technical issue. I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out.
Did you? Were you able to get it?
Yeah, I have it.
Oh,
He sent
cool.
it to me. It's just me. It's just about me getting it to work. And I don't know anybody out there who works in film, but if you're, I don't know what's the biggest editing program people are using these days. I know it was Avid back in the day.
For a VFX or just for editing?
Editing in general, but I think it's Premiere and Final Cut
Premiere,
now, right?
yeah. Most people are using Premiere, and some people still use Avid. There's a newer version of Avid.
I haven't seen Avid for a while, man.
A lot of people are using Final Cut, and then now whatchamacallit, Blackmagic has their Resolve, DaVinci Resolve. It does more than just color now. It's an all-encompassing program that has editing and sound and VFX and color and
Right.
everything all in one program. I've been meaning to switch over myself because I've been using Final Cut and I like Final Cut, but to have a program that has all the color and all that within it, because one thing Final Cut doesn't do very well is color correction stuff, so
Let me say his website, Lucas, LUCASX.com. Yeah, I don't know if we have any filmmakers listening, but I'm telling you, this guy is great and will work with you. I'm not saying he's going to give these super amazing low rates, like you'll still have to pay, but he's very fair. Yeah, for sure.
great. Well, I'm glad that your project's moving forward and you're in the
So
you're in
color
the
is
final
next.
stages. Yeah, cool.
Color grade, yeah. I found a team that I really, really like,
Cool.
actually. I love
Awesome.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
So we expect to see that in 2020 then.
February.
February.
Mid-February is where I want to
Cool.
be done. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's moving along, man. For sure.
Yeah. So anything else about 2019 to kind of like any other like films you watch? You have any like best favorite picture?
Well, in
kind of
December,
things?
it's not movies, but in December, I took another trip to Mexico with some buddies, with our friend Kristen and some friends, and that was incredible. Not a film, but an amazing adventure, horseback riding and wine tours, and then obviously we did our party. Films. You know what? No, I want to see Peanut Butter Falcon really bad.
It was good.
Oh, fucking Honey Boy, dude.
Yeah, that was great.
Honey Boy,
It was incredible.
that was incredible to me.
Yeah.
Kristen was sitting on my right in the theater, and she's blubbering like a fucking baby. Like I've never seen her crying like this. She's, I'm like, are you gonna be all right here? Like, I was like, do we need to take an intermission? She's like, it's just so fucking good. But I thought it was incredible, man. I thought it was fucking incredible. I was watching that movie, and I knew during the movie, I'm going to be watching this for the rest of my life. This is going to be a movie I reference, think about. That's special, man. That's not.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen all the time. Yeah, Honey Boy. I want to see Peanut Butter Falcon really well.
Yeah.
A lot,
They're they have some similarities, but very different films. Peanut Butter Falcon has a lot more comedy in it. It's more of a lighthearted film. It definitely has serious emotional weight throughout the film,
Right.
but it overall it's very much a lighter film than Honey Boy. Honey Boy was so freaking
Heavy.
serious and very heavy.
and funny.
Yeah, and had some really good funny moments to it as well, but not like when you watch Peanut Butter Falcon, you're like, oh yeah,
Let's talk about Joker, dude.
Joker. Okay,
Let me ask you some questions.
sure, yeah. I've seen it twice now.
Okay, so the girl I'm dating likes to do a joking impression of like rabid Joker fans because they all
Right.
say the same shit. She's like, speaking as somebody with mental illness, that movie is exactly how you know what I mean. Like
Right,
you hear
right,
that
right.
over and over,
Okay.
and she's always like, "No, it's fucking not exactly how like."
Right.
Do you think that movie? I actually think his performance is fucking unbelievable. The movie's really cool. Like a bad
Like-
filmmaker couldn't have made the film.
Unbelievable in a good way, you mean, or just
No, great.
his-
I think his
okay,
performance
yeah,
is
yeah.
amazing.
'Cause
And I think the
yeah,
movie's
good.
actually really good too. I don't think a bad filmmaker could have made it.
Right.
But I think tonally and script wise, I thought it was really, really good. I didn't think it was. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I didn't think it showed different aspects of anything. I think it was all one note. Like everybody's bad. He's misunderstood. The end. Now 2 hours. Just get on that we're gonna ride that for 2 hours now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it was definitely the type of film that it was a character study, right? And yeah, it was that sort of like what happens to somebody who's mentally ill and is being crushed by the world around them, and his particular mental illness and the world that he's in of it has relevance today even of like, you know, somebody who, whether is mentally ill or physically ill and doesn't have a lot of money, and, you know, government programs are being cut that they rely on, and the whole scene, well, you know, where am I going to get my medication from? And she's like, well, I don't fucking care. I lost my job, you know, and it's
like they don't care about us. It was so on the nose. It was kind of like I was saying last Jedi. I was like, just let politics
yeah. But I mean, I think sometimes it's okay to have that, especially on a topic like that normally doesn't make it into like a mainstream kind of film in that sense of like, you know, people who are mentally ill depending on government services to keep themselves just on the right side of the line from shooting people in the subway, right? Like he's somebody who's dependent upon those kind of services, and you see after he doesn't have his medication what happens to him, and those
it's also blaming society. It's not just blaming medication. It's saying everybody's a jerk to this guy too. Right. He never wanted to hurt anybody. I like the things you're talking about. I just think it doesn't touch on any of the other direction of like, well, he's still a fucking dick. You know what I mean?
Well, that's and I think that's the nuance of the film, right? Is like, well, yeah, you can have sympathy for a person and understand the circumstances from which they come from. And still not say, well, I'm going to give you a pass on all of your bad behavior. And
I think people do give him a pass,
right? And I think people do, and I think people don't, because I don't. Like
I don't either, but I think a lot. I think the fans of the film do largely, the hardcore fans. And I'm so when I watched Honey Boy, the dad, Shia was playing the father. Every time I wanted to love him, he would do something horrible.
Right.
And every time I wanted to hate him, he would do something a little bit redeeming. And I thought that's what I wanted to see in Joker, where I couldn't decide. Right. Not where I was like, oh, but you got to understand, you know, he does not. It's just like, no, in real life, there's at least some push in both directions. Right, it can be 90-10. Well, and that's. I didn't see him.
Right. Well, and that's why.
No, but everybody was a fucking dick. Like, I live in the world. I live in a big city, too. Right. There are a lot of dicks. It's not everybody. There are people in this world who will be nice to a mentally ill person. I'm sorry. In Joker world, they don't exist.
The girl down the hall was cool with him.
No, not really. She just one time in the elevator, and then the rest was imagined.
But I mean, in that one interaction,
she was just like, yeah. But then he scared her away immediately, right?
Because he was,
But I mean, nobody was like, hey, you're gonna be fine, buddy, or yeah, come on over, I'll make you some soup.
The little guy was cool.
He just didn't pick on him. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, like some people are hard to be friends with.
Yeah,
like
I'll vouch for that.
He's probably
I guess I was afraid by the end that I thought the movie was telling us to be on his side. I really felt that.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think
I wish I agreed with the no part.
But. Well, it's painting the picture of a villain, but it's saying, this is how I read it is that there's a certain amount of sympathy you can have. But it's just a certain amount, right? There's a line you can draw and say, you know, I can sympathize where he came from and why he is the way he is, but not necessarily agree with him. Like I said, not excuse the action. I think, and in the end, that's why the Joker is a villain and he's not a hero. You know, is because
he really is taking joy in harming people,
right?
And then later, his psychiatrist he murders. She's not mean to him. You know what I mean? And like, you know what though? And here, let me say one reason I thought the director was pussying out. They never showed him murder somebody who wasn't picking on him, and you know the Joker does that.
You could argue. I guess
the Joker.
Robert De Niro's character.
No, he picked on him. You picked on me more.
Yeah.
They never. If they implied it with like the girlfriend or the wannabe girlfriend, it was off screen.
Right.
Whether it happened or not, I don't know, but it was off screen. And then later, the psychiatrist, it was off screen. It was at the very end, the closing minute. So it's like they always kind of kept you. If they showed him fucking cackling and killing a little kid in the street, in the 3/4 of the way through that movie, the conversation about would be totally
But
different.
that's also, you also look sort of like, is that where the character goes?
He
right?
was
Right,
going
right,
that direction
right.
for
so,
sure.
And I think you don't necessarily have to see it in this movie to know that eventually that's where he gets to.
But a Martin Scorsese film with Robert De Niro in fucking 1975 called The Joker, let's say it's Taxi Driver or anything like that, would have showed those things that made you uncomfortable.
Sure.
Really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
point
yeah.
where you would have been like, okay, I'm still with him now, but like this guy's a fucking lunatic and they need to stop him.
Right,
Joker
right.
had to always keep you on the side where you're chuckling at his jokes.
Right,
Or
right.
his little
right.
walking into the glass pane. You're like, ha ha ha. And I'm like, this guy's a fucking murderer now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, this touches on an interesting point. I was thinking about this.
Well, I mean, he killed his mom. His mom was never.
But in his mind, she fucking abused him and had him chained to a radio
Yeah,
or let
I
it
guess
happen.
there's that, huh?
They always had you go, oh yeah, but he's misunderstood. Oh yeah, but he's
Yeah, yeah,
mistreated.
yeah,
and I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
wait a minute. If this is the Joker, if we're getting to the Joker here,
Well,
it's
and that's the thing
somebody-
is I think it's
How long can you ride
it's
the
that
yeah
whole
button?
it's that whole getting to that point
Right.
and knowing that in that sense of like knowing who the Joker is in a larger sense as a character later on. You're watching a prequel.
They're making
and-
a part
and
two
s-
now.
Yeah, and
I guess
you're
I'll say it has more courage if he is just.
right.
It's
right,
now
right.
no longer. Well, the guy picked on him at the train stop. It's like, holy fuck! Like he's a psycho. you
Well,
know?
and I think that's sort of what you get, the sort of good and bad of this being a film that's a backstory to a pre-existing character like that, where, I mean, how easy would it be? You could take out the few references to the Wayne family,
Oh yeah, I know.
and
It would just be its own movie.
yeah, it could be completely disconnected from the Batman DC universe as a whole.
It would
It's
basically.
so
It almost
so-
is like a Taxi Driver type movie, just
Right,
following
right.
a lunatic in the city. Walking
yeah,
around.
and that's exactly what the director said when he had pitched the film. He's like, I want to make a Taxi Driver.
Oh, he said Taxi Driver.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
crazy. I was just thinking
Yeah,
about it right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
You know, so I've been thinking about this a little bit. I get uncomfortable with us siding with murderers and stuff. Like, so
Sure.
I think let's talk about Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones. Let's talk about Magneto. Let's talk about all these characters. I think you watch Jaime Lannister push a kid out a window, try to murder a kid out a window while secretly fucking his sister. Later, you watch him rape his sister next to their dead kid's casket, and still the fan base goes, "Man, he's a good guy." You know what I mean? And it's
Right,
because
right.
that camera has spent so much time with him, and you've listened to him monologue, and you've watched him have his face changes when he's having a moral dilemma, and he's redeeming slowly. And it's filmmaking is manipulative. I mean, that's what film is. If I put the camera on you and we watch you being abused as a little boy, by your mean dad, and then we cut to you being a jerk, we go, oh, but he was abused when he was a kid. So,
Right.
And so, and then you cue that music up at the right time, and you give that little cute speech, and in a movie or a show, we don't take those things like shooting a bunch of guys on the subway like Joker. Well, he was under assault. That's different. But like smothering his mom, or Jaime Lannister raping his sister, or pushing a kid out a window, or Magneto literally murdering people for 3 or 4 movies in a row, and then you're chuckling with him in the 4th movie. It's him and Charles play chess, and oh, Charles, and you're like, these people are fucking terrorists. Right. Loki in the Thor movies, I think about it all the time. I'm like, this dude attacked New York, led a terrorist attack on the fucking city, murdering people left and right with his soldiers, and we're yucking it up in Thor 3 with him. And I'm like,
Right.
because when it's in a film or a show, people, they don't take those evil acts. If they see it in a movie, they don't judge that guy like, he's evil and needs to die, unless it's a movie like Taxi Driver where it feels like the real world. There are movies that feel like the real world where you're like, you're uncomfortable watching it. But I think we have this like if I'm talking to fans of Game of Thrones, they're like, but you gotta understand, man, Jaime was fucking, you gotta understand. I'm like, no,
Well,
dude.
you know,
if you
I'm
knew that guy
gonna-
in real life, you'd be like, I'm sorry, we gotta give him the chair right now. I don't care how nice he is.
Did you see the whole thing with George W. Bush and what's her name?
No.
Ellen DeGeneres.
No.
So
Oh, it's sitting together.
yeah, and then
Okay,
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
joking around and like taking selfies and stuff like that.
Right.
Like George W. Bush is a war criminal. Like,
Yeah.
almost 1 million Iraqis have died because him and his administration knowingly lied us into a war.
Okay, so I'm
And so
willing to
he's
go with you on that, but I'm trying to think of a better
so
example.
people are there yucking it up. He's literally there yucking it up with somebody.
Does
and,
he
and
know
there's-
he's a war criminal? Okay, so that's
But that-
I
does that
agree
matter?
it's bad,
Does
but
that
I'm saying
matter?
that's okay. It doesn't matter, but it's doing evil from afar with commands in a political. I'm not saying it's less evil. I'm saying
But
people didn't
almost
watch George Bush.
exactly the same
No,
as,
it would
like,
be the
Loki.
exact same
Almost
if they
exactly.
watched him on national television throw a kid out a window, and then Ellen was hanging out with them on TV. That would be the exact same, and that would have. all
But they
this-
watched him on TV, lied to the American people.
But there's a psychological
and-
test that's about, okay, if you're standing up, I think we've talked about this. You're standing on a roller coaster, you're on
Mm-hmm.
the track way up high, and there's down below a car is coming, and there's a fork in the road,
the trolley.
and it's either
thing.
going to hit one guy if it goes left, or a group of people if it goes right, and you can push a button. And most people go, yeah, I'd push the button, make it hit the one guy instead of the group. Now they go, okay, but now you're up there, and they go, okay, now the only way to save the group down below is by pushing that guy down physically yourself. And people are suddenly uncomfortable with it because an evil act committed from afar with the push of a button disturbs our hearts so much less
Sure.
than an act of physically getting in there. You know, we'll all eat chicken. Not everybody wants to be the butcher, dude. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about, and I'm not saying it's less evil. It is just as evil.
But
but I'm
that's-
saying
that's why I was
psychologically
comparing it to
evil. I'm
Loki.
talking about you're watching the butcher now. Loki was leading. Loki was.
But he wasn't actually stabbing people.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was totally on the ships, just firing down. Yeah, he was totally attacking everybody. I mean,
But he wasn't actually like going and like
oh, you mean they
stabbing
like cut
civilians.
away from his axe? I mean, but he's totally implied. He's literally flying as they're attacking. I mean, they're just blowing the place up. Like
from afar.
he's just no, he's in it. He's
I don't
he's
know.
on the,
Honestly, I don't even know which movie.
oh,
this
he's
is,
on
'cause
the
I-
front lines.
Which-
Yeah,
which
he's
one is
leading
this?
the army physically. The first Avengers. Like,
Oh, wow.
he's a fucking terrorist. Like,
Right.
he's literally charge running through, just gunning people down. You know what I mean? And then
Right.
And I think we're so forgiving. The George Bush thing, I get. I just think if you watch George Bush physically fucking kill somebody, and then we were all like, yeah, but did you hear how hard his childhood was later? And like, so the Joker and stuff like that, I get that there's things we need to learn and empathize with mental health and
Sure.
But at the same time, I think Fantasyland makes us forget the actual weight or the actual consequences of doing these things.
Oh, obviously. I
Like,
don't think there's any question
they're
about that. I'm
real,
just
dude.
I was sort of being the
If
devil's
Magneto
advocate
was
in
real,
the sense of like
and he tried to kill us all 6 times, we're not going to like the X-Men if they're hanging out with him on TV. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what's happening. I just think it's a weird kind of a blur, a morality blur.
people saw the tape of Trump saying that he would grab chicks by the pussy.
Totally. There's a good one, yeah.
There was like literally videotape of him saying that.
I'm trying to think of an even worse one he did, but that's probably the
That's
worst one.
one of the seeing
right,
something
though.
on tape. Like that was
Yeah.
like it wasn't a document. It wasn't a secondhand
And they've
thing.
totally made excuses for it and just
Yeah,
like,
oh, well,
and they still
yeah,
call him
well,
the
it's just-
second coming of Christ or Christ's
Yeah,
choice.
I mean, it's people have
Fucking
the
psychos,
ability to like disconnect from that stuff and the cognitive dissonance of that.
Or the American Sniper guy who's like, I mean, I was just really enjoying shooting Muslims, and
Yeah.
like he's a fucking hero. We made a movie about him. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the whole thing with Ellen DeGeneres and him is gross, but in her mind and in her world, it's like, oh well, we're all rich and we're celebrities and we go to these big events and whatever, we all kind of yuck it up and it's cool. I mean, how many people were yucking it up behind the scenes with Epstein before he got caught, and it wasn't like they didn't have any shame doing it because even though they knew what he was doing, like how many people knew?
It would be
like,
so interesting if he was alive and was let off right now to see what, if any, celebrities would be palling around with him on a video
Right,
later. But you know what I mean? Like, that would be crazy.
right.
Yeah.
But even and then there was a video 2019 what's his name, Weinstein showed up at this stand-up comedy show and this woman totally called him out for being there, and she's like, "Oh,
I
I
saw.
didn't know there was going to be sexual predators at this thing. I didn't bring
She
my.
was like,
I didn't.
"Fuck you."
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't bring my rape whistle. I didn't know I was going to need it.
Yeah, she totally
and they were like the people that were with him were like boo and like booing her and stuff like that, and like show some class or something like that. And it's like class,
Yeah.
like
Be nice, come on.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
He raped people. He forced them to have sex with him for
right,
their
right.
careers.
Yeah, and that was the same thing that people said. Like there were a whole bunch of people when Ellen was there with George W. Bush. They're like, "Oh, but we need to be nice to each other," and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, you're nice to somebody who's a war criminal. Like if that was Hitler or Stalin or something like that, would you say, "Oh, well, you just got to be nice
Well,
to them"?
I think so many of Bush's followers too don't believe that the political thing. A lot of the time, I've had people go with grab him by the pussy. Oh, we don't even know if he actually said that or that was. And then with George W. Bush, if you go, he's a war criminal. They're like, people just don't like him. You know what I'm saying? That people choose their own reality.
Yeah, and that's the whole.
I wish
the
they
whole
could
cognitive
watch him
dissonance,
physically do it, and then go. I think, but Trump's pushed it. You're right. I mean, he's said and done things right in front of our faces, dude.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we just stand by.
He made fun of the
Yeah, but people tell me he never did that now.
Like disabled reporter,
Yeah.
He like at his rallies, he's go ahead and rough that
I'll
guy
pay
up.
your bills
Yeah,
for you.
I'll pay your bills for you.
Yeah,
Like,
he's the Christian's chosen one. It makes no fucking sense, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's because
He just promised them their world back, dude.
right.
Like
yeah.
it's just, I think voting for Trump is a way to stick it to the fucking liberals, right? Like, because you feel like
he's like the ultimate troll, the ultimate.
he's totally an antagonistic
Yeah,
character.
yeah. That's gonna piss off the libtards.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
It's just antagonizing people who are trying to wake you up before the world dies. Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it sucks. I don't know how we got on Trump. Oh, just talking about. But so I guess when I'm watching a movie, even though it's a fantasy or whatever, even Kylo Ren, man, Kylo Ren turns good at the end of Rise of Skywalker. Good thing he fucking dies, because if he would have came back to the Rebel base with Rey and I was in the camp, I'd be like, look, I'm glad you're a nice guy now, but we're cutting your head off.
Right.
Like,
well, and that's the thing.
You killed fucking my whole family. Like, you're out of here, dude. Like but when I'm watching those movies, like I watched Willow the other day, and the chick is like the evil leader of the bad guys, and she falls in love with Val Kilmer and turns good, and like is fighting with the rebels for the last like 15 minutes of the movie, and I'm like, wait a minute, if like she shows up, I go, didn't you just torch my fucking village 10 minutes ago? Like movies make you go la-di-da.
Well, I mean, you had just mentioned about how throwing the Emperor down the hole was a big moment for Vader. Like,
yeah. Oh, I think of Vader all the time.
mean,
Good
yeah.
thing Vader died, because he's not coming back.
I mean,
and Leia
Vader
goes,
killed.
"Oh, you're back!"
Vader killed a room full of little kids.
Yeah,
a little
exactly right.
Like literally
I think that all
killed
the
a room
time
full of
too.
little
That
kids.
redemption moment means a lot. It's when they're turning good, but like there has
how
to
much redemption can you have?
You
right?
can't. You still have to face consequences for your actions. So when I'm watching a movie, even if it's a silly fantasy movie and it's just Loki or fucking Lannister's heavier, but anything like that, and they murder somebody, in my mind, because I like films and I'm trying to always be in them, like mentally in as I'm watching, I'm like, okay, whoa, he just killed that guy's brother. Wow, what's that going to be? And if 2 scenes later, the guy whose brother you killed is like, hey, Bill, how's it going? Let's get some ice cream. It feels strange to me, but
Right.
it's becoming the norm, man. Yeah, it's becoming the norm. He's just misunderstood. It's like the Joker pass, Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked of 2019. Some of my favorite films were Lighthouse.
Oh, I
The
didn't see
Lighthouse
that.
with Willem Dafoe and Robert
A lot of people
Pattinson.
seem disappointed in it. I haven't seen it yet.
I don't see how you could be disappointed in that
Maybe
film.
you just have
could
taste.
maybe not like it,
I'm just kidding. I
but
don't know.
disappointed would seem like an odd reaction to that particular film, because I would question what you were hoping to see that you didn't get to see, because it's a pretty
So you were pretty appointed with it.
yeah. I was it lived up to my expectations, which were very few expectations. I really had no idea, other than I knew it was a weird
That's
film.
how he goes at each day, actually, pretty much.
Right.
You just expect the worst.
Climax
Climax.
with Gaspar Noé's film.
Oh,
It came out
okay.
real early in the year. Really crazy, also crazy film. What else? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I enjoyed. Some other films that came out this year.
I don't know. Why don't you just name every fucking 2019 movie, Scott?
I didn't see that. I don't know. I did see quite a few films, but Yeah. So yeah, we'll see.
But your favorite was Rise of Skywalker, huh?
Oh yeah, by far. Best
So
film,
all in
best
all,
film
did
ever
you
made.
did you like it? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I enjoyed it. You know, like while I was watching it, I enjoyed it. You know, I there weren't moments where I felt discomfort as to like what the heck are they doing?
There were moments
you
I
know?
thought were dumb, but
Yeah, but not like when I was watching Last Jedi and to a lesser extent, but also Force Awakens. There were moments where I was like, "What the fuck am I watching?
Yeah,
Like,
I
is this
know.
supposed to be a Star Wars
Doesn't it
film?"
kind of feel like a Marvel movie mixed with Star Wars? Is like they're half like they're
I
or
mean,
just like a Disney.
at times it felt like I was watching The Office or like Spaceballs or something. I
It
was
feels
just
like The Office. Yeah,
yeah.
How about that fucking prank call in Last
That
Jedi at the
that's
beginning?
it. That to me
that
is
took
the
me right out of it.
example.
I was
yeah.
like,
and it's like right in the beginning of the
it's
film.
like there are no stakes at all anymore.
Yeah,
nothing,
yeah.
nothing matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you loved it. You loved Last
Yeah,
Jedi.
but I felt like there was interesting things with what they did with like 3PO because
Oh, that was my favorite.
But, like, I
then
almost-
they
I-
undid it.
yeah,
dude.
that's the thing, they undid
fucking
it.
took it away again.
yeah, because it was a really like that moment
It
where he
kinda
looks
broke
back.
my heart, dude. I thought
Yeah,
this
yeah.
Is the most he became almost my favorite character in the movie in that moment.
Right,
It's
right.
like he had depth. The goofy fucking.
well, because you didn't expect it. It was
so,
like
so we can spoil this. It's fucking January.
yeah.
No, it's C-3PO
They
is
got
getting
the-
his memory wiped.
Right.
Which, whether you're a robot or a human being, we'll go into the whole atheist
Right,
religion
right.
debate. Is having your memory wiped is death.
Right,
Because you
right.
are your memories.
yeah,
And
yeah.
nothing more.
And
nothing
that was
less.
and that's and
he
that's
says, "I'm
what
just
made
taking one last look," and they say, "What?" And he goes, "At my one last look at my friends."
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my god, he's gonna go!" And
Right,
then
right.
fucking the closing fucking 12 minutes, we can get it back, and I'm like, "No,
right, yeah, yeah.
fucking stop doing this to your
Right,
audience,
right.
dude!" Like,
Yeah, and
shit.
they did it with Chewie as well. Like I think it would have been
I didn't think he was gone.
yeah. I mean,
Too quick.
I thought he was.
If
and
Ryan
I
Johnson
thought it was
made
very,
it, I would think he was dead right there.
Right, and
because
I
he was
thought it
just
was- I
fucking
thought-
people over left and right.
Yeah,
Akbar.
I thought it was kind of anticlimactic that he
Yeah.
would have been gone like that. I felt
Right.
like that there needed to be something else.
So for context, Chewie, quote unquote, dies in a moment, but it's
Right.
just like he's been kidnapped. The bad ship is flying away. Rey accidentally destroys it. It blows up in the sky. And oh no, Chewie's dead. And you're kind of
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like, what? That's Chewie just went out that way. Honestly, if it was Ryan Johnson's movie, I would have
Right,
believed
right.
it. Dude.
Yeah, but-
I would
but
have been
like-
like, yep, there he goes.
And
again.
I thought that was
Fucking
a really-
destroy everything.
I thought it was a really good send off for C-3PO, and
That was
and
beautiful,
then they took it away. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I felt emotional.
Yeah,
in that thing.
it made me sad and it made me hurt because I was like, no, but then I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, but this is the realest I've felt in this whole fucking trilogy right now. You know,
right,
like,
right.
I'll tell you one thing I like
Because
too.
he's the one character that's in all 9 movies. Maybe R2 is in
I was going to
Phantom
say
Menace,
Palpatine, but Palpatine's out of those two. Yeah, nobody's in all of them. R2, yeah, R2, both of them, I think, right?
Is R2, I'm not sure, but I know for sure 3PO is. Like 3PO was in
Yeah.
all 9 movies.
I'll tell you
know?
what, Solo's return. Did it work for you or no? It kind of got me.
Yeah,
and
kinda.
it was Driver's acting that got me.
Yeah.
When he said "Dad" and he said "I know," I was like, "All right, JJ, you're fucking putting this back." To me, it gave weight to the death earlier.
Right,
Now
right.
suddenly I was like, "Oh, there's more to this," because that's how I felt. So his death in that first movie felt so hollow to me.
Yeah,
and,
well,
like,
I
just,
felt
like,
I felt
brushed
like
aside,
yeah,
you know?
I felt like on paper it was good, and like we talked earlier, if there had been more in the movie
Something
to kind
there.
of show, at least have some other scene with them before.
This kind of
we do
retro
this.
did that in a way,
Right,
Because
right.
it showed them like loving each other,
Right,
And
right.
like I love the dialogue to have Solo's last words be "I know," and
Yeah.
that's what turns him good. I was like, that's fucking epic. Like I
Yeah,
was like,
I didn't even think about it that way. But
yeah,
yeah,
but that, I mean, you know what he was saying, right? I
Right,
love
yeah.
you. But this time he never even says "I love you," and he goes "Dad," and he goes "I know." And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and then he throws the lightsaber. I was like, well, you fixed that fucking part for me. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, I had
right.
goosebumps for sure. Driver sold that shit, man.
yeah. But I think overall they gave his character a little bit more. I thought some of the stuff was goofy, like how at the end she made the lightsaber appear behind him and he pulled it out, and that was kind of goofy, like all the weird force power projection stuff. But
Yeah, everyone can just do anything they need to do now.
yeah,
They're like, well, guys, we have to. They're 40 planets away. We're writing this script. How are we gonna have them have a conversation? They go, The Force?
Yeah,
Use
yeah.
the Force?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the guy's been stabbed through the fucking chest. How are we going to get him out of this? Oh, so use the Force.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
just using the Force to fucking do whatever you want now. Like,
Right.
can't just two people sit in a room or wherever they want and just fight
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing out using the Force now? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
No, I thought there were some moments that were cool, like when Palpatine did his Force electricity and like zapped all the ships.
The sound design on that. Do you remember it?
It was good,
Because it
yeah,
was
yeah.
so huge and like
Right.
it was all silent, just like this boom. It was like an overwhelming. And I was thinking, oh, if you're
Yeah.
that close to that, that would totally sound like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah. I liked him being on the hook of that giant robot machine.
yeah, that
too.
was
I
pretty
like,
cool.
This is fucking cool looking. I love the music, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that fucking music for sure. Yeah, we started ranting about Star Wars again at the end. That's how you know I'm hanging out with Scott.
Right. Yeah. We got some more topics to talk about next time around. But I think we're gonna try to, as always, when we say it, we try to make this more often.
Yeah, this is a
and better.
sporadic thing for us, and it's just that
Right.
life is busy, and
Mm-hmm.
not something we've committed to a lot, as maybe as much as we should, or sometimes I think about having somebody produce it for us, or something, or I don't know.
Yeah.
For now, I still enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
just we do it when we do it, and
Yeah.
we don't push it too hard.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of bringing guests on and stuff like that. It's definitely something we can
Yeah,
we can consider doing more of and whatnot. So
for sure. Well, thank you, everybody. I'll let Scott
yeah,
play us out.
Yeah.
What's that mean to play us out?
Well, I
That's a
don't
Bill
know.
O'Reilly clip. Do you remember that?
yeah. We'll do it live.
What does that mean?
Yeah, we'll do it live. Yeah.
Yeah, well, fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah. So, adios 2019. Hola, mis amigos 2020. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, this has been the Old Fashioned Hollywood Podcast.
That's right.
I'm
Adios.
Scott, and that's Larry.